Welcome to Tour Guide's cooking show, featuring me, Tour Guide. Today we are creating a wonderful brew I like to call unplayable garbage. The ingredients are simple. First, throw in your unluckiest dice. Then, get your favorite hand trap flavor. Mine is cherry. Then, grab the worst duelist you can get your hands on. And last but not least, a load of bricks. Now let it sit for a few seconds, and you should have a wonderful surprise waiting.
Greetings yet again, my fellowship of the Dragoon. Last week, we dove into the remaining packs of the box of Genesis Impact and we found nothing, as well as starting our hunt for invoked audigeridoo. In order to chase for it, we have to keep opening Eternity Code. So today, for the full budget, we've got ourselves 7 glorious packs of just that. Getting any of the secret rares would be really cool that are, worth something. Access to Talker is neat. Girsu is kind of cool. There's quite a few ones that could be useful for us. Or not really for us, but just cool to have. AIQ, Crimson Resonator, Gookie Guts, Gookie the Power Lord Ogre. We got Area the Water Charmer Gentle. A Water Charmer, Noctivision Dragon, Splash Mage, Cataclysmic and Lantern Shark. That's a Charmer. I know a couple of someone who's doing wanna do some charmers. Hit me up, I got them. I got them, fam. Right. If we could please get something useful now. I don't want to go 2 episodes with nothing. That would suck. Necroequip Prism. Exceed Revive Splash. Oh, I messed that up. Cobra Virus Berserker. Link Burst. Nemesis Corridor. Never seen this card before. It is a super. Pride of the Plunder Patrol, Unchained Twin, Ancient Warrior, and Performed by Turn Trooper. Nothing there. Come on, game. Actually, no, it's not game. It's a booster pack. Okay. I really do not want to have to resort to the magical market to get an Ouijides. Stairs of Mail, Marince's Basilama, Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, Ancient Warrior Fearsome Shang Juan, Armored Bitron is our super. Yikes. Tattooey Dragon, Megalithon Formed, Unchained Tsurama, and Super Heavy Samurai Misashi. Not what we wanted there either. We're getting a lot of supers here that are not good for anything. Come on. The Water Charmer's cool and all, but it's obviously not playable in any state for us. Oof. Oh, it's Pyrwraith, the Goat Pirate. Goat Pirate? Ghost Pirate. Codebreaker again. Torpedo Takedown. Thunder Dragon Lord. Yo, that's so pretty. It's a Chamber Dragon Maid secret. Holy shit! Is this a money card? Look at it. It's so pretty. That might be a money card right there. Yo, it's not the secret I'd want, but hey, I will take that. Red Familiar, Salaman Zebroid, Deep Sea Sentry, and Goki Iron Claw. Yo, that's so pretty looking though. Holy shit, I don't know how much that is from Eternity Code. I'm guessing not much now that the Dragon Maids have been reprinted. It'll be on screen. I might just, poop myself later when I find out. Flourishing Frolic, AIQ, Exceed Revive Splash, Deep Sea Artisan, Gacheri and Igniester, Lantern Shark, Trias, Magical Hound, and Splash Mage. There's a lot of... Considering there's a super, why wouldn't it just be the super we want? I just want the super. I want the super. Nemesis Adrestia, Marinces Biosalama, Buzzsaw Shark, Evil Eye Reemergence, Ancient Warriors, Ambitious County, Deep Sea Minstrel, that's a card that I wanted for my Merlantian deck. Last pack then, we got one secret, which is Chamber Dragon Maid of all things. Big yikers. I'm still, it's really nice though, but that could have been an access code, you know? Thunder Dragon Hawk, Stairs of Mail, Parallel Exceed's kinda cool. Cobra Kavara Swordsman. Ooh, an Ultra Lopter, Shadow of the Generator Bosses. That's cool. Again, not useful for us. Oh, Bloody Patrols, nice. And another Proxy's Magician. Yeah, that was about as depressing as I thought it would be, honestly, but bunch of supers we probably won't use. A very cool Secret Chamber Dragon Maid. This is going straight in the binder regardless of its cost. It's a Dragon Maid. It has to belong somewhere, right? But yeah, I guess next week we're gonna have to do more of this. Shit. Greetings everyone, Editing Me here, and we're here to cover two things that are going to happen with the series going forward. First of all, we now have YouTube memberships active. I don't know how that happened, but one day YouTube was like, hey, you've done a good job, here you go. So now if you don't want to support me on Patreon, you also have the option to support me on YouTube. The perks are all the same and the prices are all the same, so don't worry about it. Secondly, as we are approaching the final 10 episodes of the series, there is going to be a slight shift in what's going to happen. First of all, the Magical Merchant's store and tour guides challenges are now disabled. There's a very good reason for this, as the start chips will be saved for the final episode. What's going to happen with them? You're going to have to wait and see to find out. As for Blackbeard, he will still make an appearance to introduce our weekly opponent, but he'll do so before the weekly opponent's duel, because apparently that's a better way to do it. So, with that out of the way, on to this week's duels. Alright, so for the week's first duel, we're playing up against Dark Magicians. Somehow. Our opponent decides to normal summon a Magician's Rod, getting Dark Magical Circle to their hand, activating Dark Magical Circle, getting Eternal Soul. He then sets one card, passes turn to us, and we can automatically assume it is indeed Eternal Soul. Eternal Soul pulls Dark Magic Attack to his hand, and our hand is super good. We're talking extraordinarily good. We special summon Pankratops, normal summoning Aliaster, activating Invocation to get Apgalone from our hand, completely blocking out Dark Magical Circle, activating Dragon's Effect to pop Eternal Soul, which will of course pop his monster, setting a beast, and he scoops. Easy enough. We move on to game number 2, and our starting hand this time around is less than stellar. Our opponent yet again activates Dark Magical Circle, which we decide to hit with an Ash. He sets one and passes turn to us as we draw into Beast. Aha. We decide to set our entire hand, essentially setting Hedgehog, hoping we can draw into something more useful than what we have in hand, as our opponent activates Magician's Navigation, getting himself 2 Dark Magicians on the board, banishing our Hedgehog, and we're now kind of screwed. He decides to activate Dark Magic Attack, forcing us to use our Twin Twister that was set in order to blow out his back row, but we're now down to 3,000 life points and 1 draw with no special summon on the board. Yeah, you could probably assume where that was going, right? Game number 3, and this time we're not fuffing around us. Our hand is, 3 Wendy. Our opponent yet again activates Dark Magical Circle, but finding nothing off the top, attempting to activate Magician's Rod, which we decide to hit with an Imperm as we draw for turn. We draw the only card that can probably save us out of this, Terraforming, essentially letting us go into invoked combos. Alistair gets summoned onto the field, which gets hit with whatever that thing is. Tribute a spellcaster, destroy 1 card, then special summon a spellcaster. I never remember what the name is, but it's something. It doesn't matter though, because we still do get invocation to our hand, allowing us to go into full combo thanks to the fact that we had our combo in our hand. Thanks for having 3 Wendy in there, by the way, because that's exactly the kinds of hands we'd like to have. We do manage to go into our construct, going into Cross Sheep, flipping up Ariel. Ariel special summoning our construct yet again. Cross Sheep getting another summon as we drop a dragon to destroy his dark circle of darkness. We go into our Anaconda, getting our big boy Dragoon once again. Dragoon's effect activates, blowing up the Dark Magician Girl, which actually had a 300 attack point boost because there was a Dark Magician in the graveyard, which is funny. We do beat in for a hefty chunk of damage, leaving our opponent at essentially nothing. Passing the turn to our opponent, hoping he has no follow-up whatsoever. He simply sets 1 card, passes turn, and yeah. We pop the card that's face down, and that is a good game. I don't know what that deck was, but oh well. Match Numero dos. We're going up against... I don't know what to call this, to be frank. You'll see in just a moment what I mean. Our opponent just decides to act their Pot of Desires and then passes turn to us, where we set 2 cards and pass it back. And it's Burning Abyss. Haha, I lied to you. It's pure Burning Abyss. Or possibly PK Fire. I do not really know. But we do manage to go into a window which gets hit with an Imperm almost immediately as his second Pot of Desires gets hit as he goes back into his... What is it? It's Farfa that goes into Graph. Both of them exceeding into Dante, banishing our face down card, milling a Tour Guide off the top. We do get into our Dragoon thanks to our Red Eyes Fusion in hand, and then he scoops. Okie dokie doody daddy day. Game number 2, our opening hand yet again has our multiple bricks. He normal summons Fiendish Rhino Warrior, getting Skarn into the board and exceeding them into Dante. He attempts to mill and get an effect off, which we decide to Ash. At this point, we simply activate Magical Meltdown, going into our Alistair play. Alistair, of course, getting ourselves Invocation. We activate Invocation, which he attempts to hit with a Ghost Spell, but it can't be negated thanks to Magical Meltdown, and he scoops. A very swift match 2. For our third match today, we're going up against an old favorite of ours, Numeron Eldlich, again. God, I'm really disturbed by this deck. Our opponent gets his Eldlich onto the board, setting 1, as we are able to summon our Pankratops, going into our Alistair, hoping we can do some plays with it, but gets it hit with a Ghost Ogre for some reason. We do manage to go into Invocation, using it to go into Mechaba. Attempting to activate our Clown from the graveyard that we pitched to make Mechaba, we get hit with a Guardian of the Lost Land. It's Guardian of the Golden Land. That's hard to say. Regardless, we do manage to go into our almost full combo here with the help of Cross Sheep, getting our Hat-Tricker onto the board, managing to go off into our Predaplant Anaconda, getting our Dragoon onto the board with no hindrance whatsoever, as we can very easily take game number 1 with almost no resistance whatsoever. This is the kind of game we want to have against Eldlich. It's the best possible option where we can just clear the board once and end the game with no interruptions. Unfortunately, though, we still have at least one more game to go, as our opponent immediately at their first turn starts off with Numeron Wall, getting them into Numeron Network, which on their first turn, of course, is going to get them their 3 gates into Zexal. This card is the bane of me. Luckily for me, I do have a Gamma Seal in hand, which I can use to get rid of it, so I decide to do that immediately to prevent it from doing anything further, setting 1 card and passing turn. Unfortunately for me, though, he decides to go for a Conquistador of the Golden Land for whatever reason, going straight into the battle phase, punching into Shaddoll Hedgehog, which allows us to destroy Shaddoll Fusion, which is great, I guess. Then proceeding to normal summon Ash Blossom in order to link off into his Nightmare Unicorn, spinning his own Unicorn in order to activate Numeron Waltz, the field spell, Numeron whatever it is, in order to go into the card that we can never deal with, Infinite Trap Fortress Megaclops, because it can only be affected by Exceed monsters, and we have none. We decide to activate our Harpy's Feather Duster, which in response is getting hit with a Lancia, preventing us from really going to any play whatsoever. We still fire off our Shaddoll Fusion in order to try and go as deep into the combo as possible, not that it really matters here. At this point, we normal summon our Alistair as well, getting our Invocation to the hand, and here I'm going, yeah, sure, this will probably work out, but then I forget that I can't activate Invocation because I'm under Lancia. Shit. So I am forced to pass the turn, and at this point I know to scoop because Infiniclops is going to punch me a lot in the face. For game number 3, he yet again starts with Numeron Wall. This time around, though, we do have the clear for it before it becomes a problem, as we simply have to set our Twin Twister and pass the turn. Unfortunately for me, he uses Eldlich's effect to hit it immediately, and he has another Numeron Network in hand. He does the same thing again with summoning Zexal after beating us for 3k straight into the dome, and we're stuck in the same position yet again. This deck is fun. I really want to build the Numeron Eldlich at some point. Season 2, anyone? Season 2? However, we are now under Zexal yet again, so we are forced to simply set 1 card and pass, hoping that it's going to be enough to make us survive for a minimum 1 turn. Golden Lord hits the field thanks to the Eldlich of Scarlet Sanguine as he switches everything to attack position, setting himself a Golden Land forever, using the Eldlich effect in hand to destroy Numeron Network to go for the full beatdown, which we are going to survive, thankfully, thanks to the fact we have a Clown in our hand. He's proved surprisingly useful to us. But our opponent special summons the Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, pinging us for 2k, leaving us at 500 and no chance of survival.
Hey there, Wolfie. Merhian tour guide are both preparing for the season finale, so it's just me and you for now. You took a rough defeat last week, but lucky for you, you took your winnings before losing anything. This week we got a similarly strong opponent, piloting what he calls Boneless Eldlich. I would have asked you risk or reward. But considering you have nothing to lose, the choice is obvious. Get out there and get that streak going. Time is ticking.
So for the viewer duel this week, we are taking on Chu, also known as FlowGCT. He is playing what he likes to call boneless Eldlich. It's essentially Balladrock control with no Eldlich. He does manage to set up a board with Zombie World and one face-down card as we decide to go into Winda, trying to prevent any shenanigans from happening, activating Dragon's Effect in order to pop Zombie World, which gets met with an Ice Dragon's Prison, banishing our Winda. We're then forced to simply set 2 cards and pass, hoping he has no real retort afterwards. He simply sets 2 cards and passes, which definitely is what we want to happen here. He then activates Shiranui-style Swallow Slash, which is a card I have very hard time pronouncing, but I managed to do it this time. Simply put, he Tribute to Zombie destroys 2 cards. We simply have to set our 2 monsters, one of them being off of Wendy's effect, because we have nothing else. He then special summons Jacko Bolin from his hand by throwing a zombie, which turns out to be Necrobolt Banshee, so he essentially has a Zombie World ready. We do flip open Beast, drawing 2 cards, dumping Ariel, forcing him to activate Banshee early, and Jacko Bolin protecting it by chaining itself in order to get Ash Blossom onto the field. We are, however, able to link off into our Predaplant Verte Anaconda thanks to the Clown's effect. We can also link off into Nightmare Phoenix, popping his Zombie World yet again, and then getting our Dragoon onto the board ready for a beating. We use Dragoon's effect just to get rid of the Ash Blossom, which is now banished, and then deal a hefty chunk of damage to Chu, hoping he has no card draw that could potentially get him out of a Dragoon. The only thing I can think of would be Eldlich, but he would need a second card to use it, so we're probably in a good spot. Jacko Bolin comes back at the end step as he activates Upstart Goblin, changing his Jacko Bolin to attack position, normal summoning Banshee, and then decides to simply punch himself to death, knowing that he has no way of survival. So we managed to take game number 1. For game number 2, however, our starting hand is less than great. He activates Terraforming, yet again getting himself the Zombie World, normal summoning Uni-Zombie, which we can do absolutely nothing about. Going into Glow Up Bold, and here is the Control Master himself, Doom King Balladrock. He links it off to get Vampire Sucker, but of course Balladrock returns at the standby phase. So Balladrock is a huge issue for us, because if he doesn't summon anything from the extra deck, which this deck rarely does, it can control anything, and we can't really pop Zombie World ever. We do manage to Monster Reborn one of the Balladrocks that he had in his graveyard, but unfortunately he has the Swallow Slash to destroy both it and Alistair, getting negated by his current Balladrock. We're sitting ducks. He does punch us for over half of our life points in damage, thanks to Mizuki being normal summoned, and now we're kind of stuck. We do have a Super Poly, but it is not enough to deal with 2 Balladrocks at the same time, but we are forced to use it here, going into our Winda yet again, using Dragon's Effect to attempt to pop Zombie World, but of course it's going to get negated by Balladrock. We punch over the current remaining Balladrock, meaning he can only special summon 1 during his standby phase. However, that is going to turn out to be more than enough, as I am a stupid dum-dum. We draw into our Invocation, we decide to fire off, which goes into Purgatrio, but thanks to another Swallow Slash, he gets rid of all the cards on the field, except for Winda, because of course Winda can't be destroyed by card effects. We normal summon Alistair, he uses Balladrock to instead banish the Winda, because I am again a stupid dum-dum, and I could have very easily not done that, but at this point, you know I'm bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't know I'm bad at Yu-Gi-Oh!, why are you still watching me? We take a loss in game number 2 and move to game number 3, where our starting hand is equally as painful as the noise of the dogs whenever I'm recording. He yet again goes into his Uni-Zombie, banishing his Necrobolt Banshee to get Zombie World, setting 2 cards passing turn, and this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. We decide to do our Twin Twister, which gets hit with a Solemn Judgment. Okay, I get for another one, which also gets hit with a Solemn fucking Judgment. He just judgmented 2 Twin Twisters. We're down essentially down 4 cards in our hand for a little over 3/4 of his life points, but that doesn't end up mattering because he's playing zombie, so everything can chain into itself. Shiranui Solitaire gets summoned, which gets Glow Up Bloom. Glow Up Bloom gets linked off into Linkuriboh, which, of course, affecting the graveyard special summons Balladrock. With Balladrock on the field, and the only card in our hand being the ultimate magician in terms of attack and defense, there's very little we can do here. We draw into our Hat Tricker, which we simply special summon in defense mode, hoping we can draw into something better. Since he has a Linkuriboh, we could do a Shaddoll fusion if we draw it. However, of course we don't. So we get punched in the face for 300 points of damage by Link Karibo, we draw a card, and it's Magical Meltdown. We decide to fire off Magical Meltdown regardless, just going into Alistair, setting the Alistair in an attempt to protect ourselves. But do you think it's gonna matter? No. Shiranaya, whatever, Swallow Slash, gets rid of all cards on our field as Unizombie hits the board. He dumps another Bloom. Bloom gets another Balladrock, and that is a game well played, Chew. If I was any better at this game, this may have been a different result, but alas. Well played. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be episode number 20. We still managed to take 2 wins off of this episode, taking 2 losses as well, so we essentially go 0, which is not a good thing considering we're now in the final countdown and we need all of the starships we can get for the final episode. Regardless of that, I'd like to thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, click the subscribe button if you want to see more of the shenanigans that I'm up to. If you are so inclined, you could also support me on Patreon or channel memberships. It's up to you. But as always, stay safe out there.